Recording in progress.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the Thurston County Board of County Commissioners meeting for Tuesday, January 20th, 2026. It's 2:02 p.m. My name is Ty Menser, Chair of the Board. To my right, Vice Chair Commissioner Wayne Fournier, Commissioner Carolina Mejia. To my left, Commissioner Rachel Grant and Commissioner Emily Klaus. We're going to begin with the Pledge of Allegiance to be led by Vice Chair Fournier.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up is land acknowledgement, Mr. Vice Chair.
We would also like to start today with a land acknowledgement. We would like to acknowledge and thank the indigenous Salish peoples whose elders and ancestors have lived on and stewarded the lands and waterways of this county with great care, and who continue as sovereign nations today, specifically the Squaxin, Nisqually, and Chehalis people. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connect across all barriers of heritage and difference. The purpose of this acknowledgement is to disrupt ongoing erasure of injustices done and to remember history as a stepping stone towards healing. We commit to working together to honor our past and build our future with truth.
Yes, sir. Next up is approval of the agenda.
I move to approve the agenda as presented.
Is there a second?
Chair, was there going to be an amendment to the agenda?
Yes, I move to remove item 1 on the consent agenda regarding the interlocal agreement with the Washington State Department of Commerce for security camera software to allow for time to talk about it.
Motion made. So you would amend my motion.
I didn't have a second yet on your motion.
So I'll second that, and then I'll second Commissioner Fournier's motion to approve the agenda. And then there's an amendment made.
Motion to amend agenda by removing consent item 1 under item 5 consent agenda. Is there a second to the proposed amendment?
Second.
Okay, discussion on the amendment.
Yes, Chair.
Yes.
I have spoken with the auditor about this item. I would like to move this item to either, if possible, a work session item next week with a proposed motion on the work session agenda, or the next earliest business meeting if we aren't able to do it during a work session. So at the latest, February 3rd, which would allow for time for me to look at the vendor agreement. I've talked with the auditor's staff. We spent about 40 minutes together today after agenda setting so that I could understand more about what's going on with these cameras. So it seems like the auditor may be amenable to the idea of pushing it a week or 2.
Other discussion on this? Hearing none, I guess I'll call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Nay.
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 Motion fails. Amendment fails. So we still have the underlying motion to approve the agenda as proposed.
I move to.
The motion's already made. Now you-
There's a motion to amend.
Motion to amend that to remove item number 1 and just move it to department items.
Second.
Motion and second to remove item 1 from consent to department items. Any discussion on that? Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Item 1 under consent is now moved to department item after the sheriff's office item, so it's basically like a 7A. Okay, now we need to, that was approval of that amendment, so now we need to approve the amended agenda. And the agenda's been amended. So is there a discussion on the amended agenda? Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, I think we covered it. All right, presentation is proclamation regarding National Human Trafficking Prevention Month. Ellen Massey to walk us through that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chair. Good afternoon, Board Chair. Ellen Massey, Management Analyst. So today we have the first proclamation of the year. We have Human Trafficking Prevention Month. and we have some wonderful speakers. So without further ado, I will hand it over to Christy Peters of the Prosecuting Attorney's Office.
Good afternoon, Christy Peters, Chief of Staff, Thurston County Prosecutor's Office. The elected John Thunheim is currently in the legislature for the state right now, so I'm filling in for him, but very, very briefly, I want you to hear from the more experts on the ground in this, and so it is my pleasure to introduce you to Sheila King. She is one of our victim advocates who works directly with victims of human trafficking here in Thurston County and is part of the collaborative of many different organizations working together to help victims in this area. So with that, Sheila.
Good afternoon, Board and Chair. My name is Sheila King. We're here to recognize Human Trafficking Awareness Month. Human trafficking is the use of fraud, force, or coercion to compel an individual to perform labor or commercial sex act. We see the rates that we have. We have in 2015, we had 193 identified victims, and in 2024, we have 441 identified victims. Of course, incidents are underreported, and official data reflects the people who identified and not the people who have not identified. Some graphic factors that create a greater risk here in Washington is international border with Canada, the several major ports and international airports we have, and the I-5 corridor that facilitates trafficking routes. Populations with greater risk factors, adults and youth experiencing abuse, neglect, poverty, homelessness, or family instability, immigrants, refugees, and people of color, individuals with disabilities, whether it be physical, cognitive, or developmental. Also, the LGBTQ plus individuals, especially youth rejected by their families, and people with substance abuse orders. Workers in low-wage, informal, unregulated industries such as agriculture, domestic work, construction, hospitality. We have the Thurston County Human Trafficking Task Force meeting that meets monthly. We partner with community stakeholders to include law enforcement, shelters, and community advocates. Our goals are to provide access to housing and other community resources, and we want to do that so they can have a quick and easy access for survivors to get away. A success story I would like to share is that we had a survivor of human trafficking that was assisted by the Crime Victim Advocacy Service to get a hotel room, and then we were able to access her additional services, and they are now leading a safe and healthy life in Thurston County. Of course, the Crime Victim Advocacy Service, we offer free and confidential services to individuals harmed by crime and their families. We deliver in a kind and compassionate and empowering and supportive manner. We are supported through state and federal funding, and is part of the statewide Crime Victim Service Center program that started in 2016. Because of federal funding, we have been cut to one full-time employee and one part-time employee. We also help with trauma-informed response, and of course, all our practices are victim-led. These are the examples of the people that these are examples of the crimes addressed by the Crime Victim Advocacy Service. Advocates, of course, you can see the list there: property crimes, assault, vehicular homicide, hate crimes, vulnerable adults, burglary, DUI, injuries, child abuse, animal abuse, of course, human trafficking, and arson. We excluded crimes are domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking. But if someone comes to our office and identifies as one of these victims, we do provide them resources to help them. Services provided by the Crime Victim Advocacy Service Advocates or Crisis Intervention Advocacy, Legal Advocacy, Information and Referrals, Limited Financial Assistance, and assistant with completing the CVC applications. And that is that helps people who are victims who have been assaulted or had some kind of physical thing done to them so that they can get help with maybe replacing a tooth or, you know, helping them get surgery through the state. We provide crisis intervention. We assess the needs of the people who come to us, concerns, and of course their safety issues. We assist victims in identifying and prioritizing their needs and options, provide service support by phone and in person to meet victims' needs. Information and referrals are made to local resources that may assist with many issues that are associated with crime victimization. Examples are support group, grief counseling, referrals to civil legal aid, and assistance in applying for the address confidentiality program if eligible. Oops. So the currently right now with the crime victim advocacy staff are myself and Haley Lampman, who's also one of our victim advocates. And our locations are at 2000 Lake Ridge Drive, Southwest Building 2, Olympia, Washington, and we're also located in the Family and Juvenile Court. Thank you for your time.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Sheila. Next, I'd like to invite up Samantha Gilbertson, who is the Executive Director of Innovations HTC, and Chelsea Keefe, the Development Manager as well.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having us here. My name is Samantha. I'm Executive Director at Innovations HTC. Innovations is a anti-human trafficking advocacy program. We also offer training and technical assistance to community partners, law enforcement, federal agencies, and state agencies. Last year, Innovations, just in the year 2025, served 142 clients. 80% of those came from Thurston County. Additionally, 75% of those were domestic violence overlap. Services that we provide are advocacy for both sex and labor trafficking. We do rehousing, both rapid rehousing for immediate shelter, and we run a safe house. Additionally,
we also are just starting 2 support groups, weekly support groups. They will go for 8-week courses with a 2-week break in between. Those courses / support groups will go over things like the dynamics of sexual assault, the dynamics of sex trafficking, trauma and the brain, co-regulation and emotional wellness, also life skills, and different things that survivors need to move past their trauma. Something else that we do is we have participated in 2 joint operations with both local and state law enforcement as well as Homeland Security, which we were able to make 10 survivor intercepts directly from the trafficking that was happening and offer them both go kits, which are emergency supplies, including basic hygiene, gift cards for food, different resource packets as well, and then get them into case management so that we can start working on goals and things that they need to rebuild their lives safely.
Thank you. Thank you both. And finally, I would like to invite up Detective Nathan Anderson of the Sheriff's Department.
Good afternoon. I'm here just to speak on behalf of the Sheriff's Office. I'm a special victims detective and focusing moving forward here on domestic violence related cases. And we understand the overlap with human trafficking cases, which have traditionally been handled by our narcotics task force. So we'll be working together moving forward to try and proactively prevent cases like that and make sure everybody's directed to the resources they need to best help them in their situation. That's all I have.
Thank you so much. I'd also like to acknowledge that we have various partners here who are not speaking. We have representatives from the Washington Department of Commerce, Office of Crime Victim Advocacy. We have representatives from the Attorney General's Office for Missing and Murdered Indigenous Women and Persons Task Force. And then we have other representatives in the audience who do this work on the ground level as community members as well. So just wanted to acknowledge that there are more folks in the room who are also doing this work, and that the county will be continuing to work for implementing countywide training opportunities for staff. And so the county will continue to take steps forward to educate our staff about the human trafficking prevention here in Thurston County. So with that, Chair, I will turn it back over to you to read the proclamation. And if you so choose to recess for 20 to 25 minutes, however you so choose.
Okay, we will read the proclamation and then we will have probably a 15-minute recess and we'll get a photo and we'll take it that way. So, Mr. Vice Chair.
This is a proclamation of Thurston County for Human Trafficking Awareness Month, whereas human trafficking is a grave violation of human rights and a form of modern-day slavery, involving the use of force, fraud, or coercion to exploit people through labor or sexual acts. And whereas human trafficking takes place in communities of every size across the nation, including here in Washington State and Thurston County, affecting individuals of all ages, genders, races, and backgrounds. And whereas Thurston County is committed to fostering a community where all people can live free from violence, exploitation, and fear, and where survivors of trafficking receive dignity, protection, and support. And whereas addressing human trafficking requires a coordinated, comprehensive effort by local governments, law enforcement agencies, tribal governments, educators, service providers, healthcare institutions, businesses, and community members. And whereas Thurston County supports the ongoing work of local organizations, advocacy groups, state agencies, and task forces that provide prevention education, provider services, legal advocacy, and community outreach. And whereas National Human Trafficking Awareness Month provides an opportunity to amplify survivor voices, reaffirm our shared values of safety and justice, and strengthen our community's resolve to end human trafficking in all its forms. Now, therefore, be it resolved, the Thurston County Board of Commissioners hereby proclaims January 2026 as Human Trafficking Awareness Month in Thurston County and encourages all residents, businesses, and community organizations to increase their awareness of this issue, support survivors, and work collaboratively to eliminate human trafficking in our county and beyond. Adopted this 20th day of January 2026, the Board of County Commissioners.
We'll be in recess till 2:35. Related public comment and would like to provide it, we'll accommodate that, but right now I don't have anyone signed up for the agenda-related public comment. Did anyone not get a chance to sign up? We will have public comment on general matters just in a short moment. Online, is there anyone here to give public comment on agenda-related matters? Okay, very good. Then we will move to county manager update.
Thank you, Chair. I have several updates that I wanted to provide today. Some of them are looking back at the staff and the organization's efforts in 2025. We're going to start with community safety and security. We closed the staff gap in our corrections facility while jails nationwide face crisis. Thurston County Jail is fully staffed. I want to give a special thanks to our sheriff who just walked in, perfect timing. The county rolled out grappler and star chase pursuit intervention tools and completed a full upgrade of body and dash cameras to ensure transparency and officer safety. In environmental protection and water security, we replaced a failing 1970s culvert with a new 150-foot bridge over Green Cove Creek. The project leveraged millions in federal funds, reopened half a mile of salmon habitat, and protected road access for 65 homes. We received a regional water security grant from the Department of Ecology watershed level win, ensuring home building can continue through 2040 while permanently protecting the health of 2 area rivers. The county also replaced a failing compactor with a new high-powered one at the Waste and Recovery Center. This is a particular proud moment for our Public Works Solid Waste Division. The replacement was already budgeted. The new model delivers 200 tons of force, so it's not only more powerful than the old one, but it's also faster. Fun side note, the team has kicked off a naming contest for the new compactor that runs through the end of February. Stay tuned to our website and social media channels for more information. We made key capital investments in major infrastructure, including the board's approval to purchase the downtown Olympia property for future administrative headquarters and a hub for law and justice services, as well as a central headquarters for the sheriff's office, funded by the community-backed public safety sales tax. Central Services Fleet Services also put 37 new vehicles into service in 2025 for the sheriff's office, 20 of which were added through the funding of public safety sales tax. The board's approval to place the order in 2024 contributed significantly to the success of this project, and the work reflects the dedication and technical expertise of the mechanics from both the heavy and light shops here at the county, along with some operational mastery which allowed them to prioritize the sheriff's vehicles while also maintaining the county fleet. If you recall, in late 2024, we had talked with the sheriff, fleet services, in our Central Services Department about the need to move faster. And so it's really exciting to see the department staff and sheriff team all working together to do that. The fleet repair facility installed grappler equipment on many of the vehicles and became the first in the nation certified to install the safer alternative to high-speed pursuits. We anticipate 4 more vehicles rolling out in 2026, also funded by the public safety sales tax. Next item is the 8th paramedic unit for Thurston County. The county has just put a new medic unit into service, bringing the total number of county paramedic units to 8. This expansion is a direct result of the 2021 voter-backed Medic 1 levy restoration. This unit is officially in service for the Tumwater Fire Department, which means faster response times for South County and our urban core. Our Medic 1 program became the first in the nation to earn accreditation for onboard ultrasound this past year, meaning we now have ultrasound equipment in all 8 units, and our staff are fully trained to use it in the field. All of the things I mentioned and more are on the county's homepage under the 2025 highlights. We are starting 2026 on the right track with the Certificate of Excellence Award for the county's investment policy. This leads us to a Treasurer's Award. This award was presented to the treasurer and his team from the Washington Public Treasurers Association. Commissioner Menser, I believe your work with this group through the role in the Finance Committee, so we have the expertise in helping the county's portfolio be stable and predictable. This isn't their first award. They won the same in 2020 and several others throughout the years, including the State Auditor Stewardship Award for transparency and good stewardship of public resources. This recognition complements the County's Assessor's 2025 Award for Excellence in the Assessment Administration for recording, this is a great statistic, a 97.9 accuracy rate for the tax assessment. It's very impressive. And let me add, these awards really highlight our staff for professionalism and their excellence, because these awards come from industry experts who have audited and thoroughly reviewed the work and confirm that we're using the best practices. These awards are a seal of approval, if you will, that our team is providing the fiscal stability and transparency that you as commissioners expect and that our community deserves. And we have these two awards. It'd be great if the board could come down in front and join us. I know Jeff Gadman and his team here. Are y'all going? And come on up. Jeff, before we take a picture, any comments you'd like to make?
Yeah, first of all, this is Rodney Reynolds. He's the investment banking officer for my office and for the county and all the other taxing districts. I've always prided myself on running my office in a professional manner that gets recognized nationwide. I've got staff members that are recognized nationally for their expertise and are asked to join boards. And this award just, quite frankly, is just kind of a seal of approval that our office, my staff, who are the stars of the show, are doing something right for you as citizens of this county. So we need to be proud of the staff that's working in my office because, I mean, let's admit it, they're the ones that do the work, okay? And thank you for recognizing this, commissioners. This is awesome.
Wonderful.
What else you got, County Manager? Is that it?
That's all for now.
All right, that's good, thank you. All right, so based on the amended agenda, we have consent items 2 through 18. Is there a motion to approve?
Move to approve the consent calendar as stated.
Second.
Motion and second to approve consent items 2 through 18. Non-debatable motion, all in favor say aye.
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 Motion carries unanimously. That brings us to our first department item, which is under 6, sub 1, Community Planning and Economic Development. Set a public hearing on residential energy performance rating and disclosure ordinance.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Ashley Rye, Community Planning and Economic Development Director, and I'm happy to be here today. Following the board direction at your December 10th work session, we are requesting a motion to schedule a public hearing on the draft home energy score ordinance for February 17th at 3:30 p.m. The home energy score is a tool that will help home buyers understand the estimated energy cost of a home. And having one of these before you buy a house is kind of like knowing the miles per gallon rating before you buy a car. So this ordinance would require home energy score be completed and disclosed when a home is listed for sale. Its purpose is to provide consistent and reliable information to help home buyers easily compare the energy efficiency of multiple homes. The draft ordinance that you'll be considering was developed by the Thurston Climate Mitigation Collaborative. This is a partnership among the county, Olympia, Lacey, and Tumwater. Thurston County is a national leader as the first county to intentionally build a regionally consistent program like this one. We're also leading the charge just within our region as the first of our local partners to hold a public hearing on this draft ordinance that's been in the works for quite a few years at this point. The policy has been identified as a priority strategy to reduce energy use and greenhouse gas emissions from existing residential buildings. Taking action on this ordinance in the future would be a step toward implementing our newly adopted comprehensive plan. So members of the community, because we have outreach underway, are encouraged to share their views about the proposed policy by completing a public comment form on our website or attending the public hearing. And for those watching, the website is climate/home energy score after Thurston County.
Questions for Ashley? Is there a motion?
I move to set a public hearing for February 17th, 2026 at 3:30 PM or as soon thereafter as the matter may be heard at 3000 Pacific Avenue Southeast, Room 110, Olympia, to accept public testimony regarding a draft ordinance for a residential energy performance rating and disclosure policy, and authorize the clerk of the board to adjust the date and time of the hearing as needed.
A second.
Motion and second to set a public hearing on February 17th. Is there any discussion on the motion? Commissioner Clayes?
I just want to thank staff. I want to thank Ashley. I want to thank Rebecca Harvey for all of her hard work on this. This is an item that's been discussed for a very long time, and we're finally seeing it come to fruition, and it's just really exciting. So I know a lot of work has gone into this, and I just wanted to say thank you, and I'm looking forward to the public hearing and the final decision to hopefully move it forward.
I will add to that the public hearing is not a requirement, but it's something we thought would be good in terms of community outreach. There's also been specific community outreach efforts going on that all 5 commissioners had a chance to see one of those with Rebecca down in the South Thurston Economic Development Initiative. Lots of good questions and good information to provide to folks to understand what it's all about. And yeah, this has been going on. I didn't want to interrupt your presentation, but you were talking about since the jurisdictions have gotten involved, but even before that, there was a set of stakeholder meetings spearheaded by the climate action team that I participated in back in 2020, I think it was, where we had realtors, master builders, environmental scientists, different people involved in how to best address this, and that work informed the work that the jurisdictions then jumped into with the collaborative, and now we're seeing it come for actual potential adoption if once we get some final kind of public assessment. So anyway, a lot of history here, and it's good to see this kind of getting closer to the finish line. Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Sheriff's Office item is next, memorandum of understanding with Washington State Patrol, data sharing and storage.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. So this is the MOU. It's a memorandum of understanding between the State Patrol and the Thurston County Sheriff's Office, which sets to update a previous MOU from 2009 and just clarifies current best standard practices in the industry for any data that's obtained from ALPR. The Thurston County Sheriff's Office does not have ALPR. However, we routinely work with agencies who do, and we use those systems through those agencies, ask them for mutual aid assistance. And so as a result, we thought it was best practice for us to update this MOU.
Questions for the Sheriff? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Sheriff, thank you for coming before us to talk about this again. You've been before us a few times, and I appreciate you and your staff taking the time to answer my questions. So we spoke about this morning. There are a couple questions that I still have that I don't think I necessarily need answers right now, but it's something that I hope that we can get information on. So first, there was a section in the 2009 MOU that stated that TCSO must immediately delete data if they have no need for it. That provision was only in the 2009 MOU, but it's no longer in the new MOU. And I'm curious as to why we would hold on to any information if it's determined that we don't need it. So that's one question I have. The other question is, there's an RCW stated on page 5 of the new MOU. RCW 49.60.530, section 3 says it requires written notice of non-discrimination requirements to labor organizations with collective bargaining agreements. And I'm curious as to how this information will be provided to those labor organizations and what information needs to be provided. So those are a couple questions that I still have that are outstanding.
Okay.
Do you happen to know that offhand, or?
No, so for the second question, we would have to go through there and look at that. So both of this MOU has been approved by Thurston County's legal team and Washington State Patrol's legal team, which I believe by default is the Attorney General. And so based on that, I'm not going to overstate my expertise in all of these issues. Instead, I defer to experts. So that would be, I guess, my response to that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
I also just wanted to let you know, and I talked about this morning, so your staff was able to provide me with the 2009 MOU, which I really appreciate because it wasn't part of the AIS, so that was just additional information your staff was able to provide for me. There is, in the 2009 MOU, it references a separate agreement related to access to, use of, and subsequent dissemination of information obtained through access, including NCIC data. That additional agreement was referenced 3 times in Section 1, Paragraph 2, Section 4, Paragraph 1, and Section 5, Paragraph 1, but it's not referenced in the new MOU. And so I was curious, when I asked your staff for that separate agreement, they weren't able to locate it. So I'm just curious, that seems to have a lot of information about the use of this dissemination of data, and I'm curious as to why there is a separate agreement when this MOU seems to cover a lot of that stuff, so.
Yeah, I think the answer, again, I would defer to would be the attorneys who parse through this information. So there could be updates to state law. There could be updates to all these different entities where they're redrafting language, and language changes over time, and different principles throughout attorney work, it changes over time, where maybe they don't feel they need to include certain other agreements. What I can tell you with no uncertainty is that we still have an agreement in place with the Washington State Patrol to use their system. We use it every day. And then all of our staff through that MOU or that agreement, whichever it is, are required to have ongoing training about the dissemination of access, which is basically the system that pulls all the data for like traffic stops, warrants, vehicle registration, all those types of things. So I know that we're current because we're following all the practices and whatnot. So offline, we can get you whatever agreement that you're looking for. I assure you it does exist.
Okay, thank you.
Just, those are like really detailed questions. At a higher level, just so to clarify maybe for folks, my understanding is this is not about any kind of data we generate or collect locally. This is about our use of data coming from other sources.
Correct. This is the same agreement that any other jurisdiction in our state that wants to use any kind of data collected from ALPR would have with the state. So this is all the best practices from the state. This talks about complying with Keep Washington Working Act. This talks about complying with the governor's directive not to use the data to assist other states with abortion enforcement, those types of things. So what we're really just trying to do here is extend our MOU out and saying, yep, we're using the data, we're following all the procedures, and the attorneys have checked off on this and signed off on it. So at a very high level, once again, we do not have ALPR, but we partner and work with agencies that do, and we're all getting our data from the same place, which is the state. And that actually in the MOU talks about how the state is responsible for managing the data and those types of things.
Is there a motion?
I move to approve the memorandum of understanding with the Washington State Patrol for data sharing and storage of National Crime Information Center and the Washington Crime Information Center systems of records made available by the Washington State Patrol to the Sheriff's Office, and authorize the sheriff or designee to execute the agreement.
Second.
Motion and second to approve the MOU with Washington State Patrol. Discussion on the motion?
I have some more comments. I wanted to say, Sheriff acknowledged this, but I mentioned this morning that there are a couple provisions in there that I really appreciate that we have in there, like the Keep Washington Working Act, the fact that we are prohibited from cooperating with out-of-state laws on anti-abortion or other reproductive health care. That is something that I think is it's really important to have in there. That governor's directive related to healthcare, reproductive health care, was signed in 2022. So it's only been 4 years, but I'm glad to see that this is now being included, because that's really important. It's really relevant. Similarly, the Keep Washington Working Act, signed in 2019, is a little old, but the fact that we're updating the MOU to include this is good. This morning, I introduced a potential resolution that will be discussed at a later date about a temporary procedural pause on county action related to AI-enabled surveillance technologies, which does include ALPR data that we would potentially be getting from the state. I believe the state does use AI surveillance tools, So we would be getting data related to that. However, that conversation will be happening later. I'm gonna support this motion today. I'm reluctant to because I have a lot of concerns about AI surveillance and the way that the direction that that's heading across the country. So I would just ask that we kind of keep our eye on what's going on with the data sharing, especially related to AI surveillance, because there are bills going through the legislature right now. We're talking about an ordinance here locally. So I would just ask that we kind of keep our eye on that and make sure that we're communicating clearly from office to office about what the regulations are as they come down. So, but thank you. You've given me a lot of information and I appreciate it.
Absolutely. My pleasure.
Yeah, and I'll echo Commissioner Klaus. I'm going to support this motion. I want to say thank you for giving clarity today. Makes a lot more sense to me that we're talking about incoming information and not exporting information. I also have some serious concerns about AI surveillance at this time, just more so about what happens when it leaves our care and goes into the hands of others. But if it's about oversight and public responsibility, which I think you have, I think that I can support it.
For the record, so that no one is misunderstood, to caveat on that, we do not have AI surveillance at the sheriff's office. So we don't have it. Any approval would have to come through the board anyways, based on how it's all set up. So we don't have any ALPR, and we also don't have any AI surveillance at the sheriff's office. I just want to make sure that that's very clear for anyone who's watching and is confused about what we're talking about.
I have a clarifying question on that. You said the county doesn't have any ALPR. Do we use standard ALPR that doesn't have AI capabilities?
We have
Okay,
neither.
so
The sheriff's office used to have those systems in 2009, which is the
Okay.
last time this system was updated. So
Thank you.
Commissioner Mejia.
Yeah, Chair. So I kind of want to, just briefly address the memorandum of understanding with the Washington State Patrol and this item in general. Because I know data sharing and license plate readers understandably raise concerns about privacy, immigration enforcement, and federal overreach. And I also want to acknowledge that, many community members are deeply concerned about how law enforcement data is shared. So thank you so much to the sheriff for, being patient with the board and providing all of the information as it's been requested. I do want to, clarify that this agreement does not expand federal access to local data. It governs how the sheriff's office securely receives and safeguards information that already exists within the NCIC and the WACIC systems. And it sets rules around who may access the data, how it's stored, how it may be used, and how it may not be shared. And vendors, I saw that are explicitly prohibited from accessing these databases of information. I think that, as it was highlighted beforehand, that this agreement affirms, Washington law, which prohibits state and local law enforcement from enforcing federal immigration law. So nothing in this MOU changes that. And then I also understand that there is concern about legislation currently moving through session related to data and privacy. And I believe that this MOU already requires the sheriff's office to comply with state law as it exists and as it changes. If the legislator adopts new requirements, the county is obligated to follow them, regardless of whether this agreement is approved. I think it doesn't really insulate us if we don't move forward on it. So I appreciate, just the sheriff's information that you've been able to provide during this time with some of these touchy items.
thank you.
Any other discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Next up is the item that was removed from consent, which is it shows as item 1, but it's been removed to item 7A. And it's an interlocal agreement with Washington State Department of Commerce, security camera software, our auditor's office. And we have Auditor Hall with us. Did you want to? No. Okay. This has been debated or discussed several different work sessions of the board. So is there a motion to approve this item?
Move to approve the interlocal agreement with Washington State Department of Commerce to procure and install software on existing security cameras at the voter registration center for the amount of $35,104 and authorize the auditor to execute the agreement and any amendments that do not exceed 10%.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second to approve the interlocal agreement with the Washington State Department of Commerce. Discussion on the motion. Commissioner Grant.
Yeah, so for me, I'm not comfortable approving AI software, for the auditor's office at this time. I was hoping we would maybe move this off and, you know, to get some further information, kind of like what just happened with the sheriff. I'm just not quite ready. Introducing, AI systems, right now in this environment. I'm just worried about enforceable safeguards and you know, and how the data can be used once it leaves our hands. You know, we can't fully control or unwind something once it goes outwards into other hands. And so for that reason, I'm not going to support this approval today.
Commissioner Mejia was next, then Commissioner Klaus.
Thank you. You know, Chair, I would like to briefly address the interlocal agreement with the Washington State Department of Commerce for election facility security, because I know the mention of federal funding raises understandable concern for some members of the public. This agreement is funded through a federal justice assistant grant administered by the Washington State Department of Commerce. The Department of Justice is the funding source, not the operator of any system involved. So I also want to state that nothing in this contract authorizes the Department of Justice or any federal agency to access live camera feeds, recorded footage, voter records, ballots, or election system. The federal role here is limited to grant compliance, financial oversight, and standard audit requirements that apply to virtually all federal grants, and that we have signed many in the past year. This can be found on page 20 and 21 of the board packet. And while the contract does include the installation of the AI-enabled security cameras, including weapon detection capabilities, that is clearly stated in the scope of work, and it's not hidden. This technology is designed to identify potential threats of violence to staff and the public. It's not facial recognition. It is not used to identify voters, and it's not used to monitor lawful political activity. All systems remained under local control. Data is not shared unless required by law, and the county is bound by state and federal privacy, civil rights, and public records laws. To conclude, this item is about whether or not to sign the contract for the grant, not the technology it supports. This agreement strengthens physical security at an election facility without changing how elections are run. It protects people. Protecting election facilities from threats and harassment is a part of protecting democracy, and that's why I'm supportive of this request. Thank you, Chair.
Commissioner Klaus.
Thank you. So I share the concerns that Commissioner Grant has raised. I know I've talked with the board about this. We spoke about this earlier today. After our agenda setting meeting, I spent about 40 minutes with Auditor Hall to talk about this item, and she was able to get a staff member on a call and help me understand exactly where the cameras will be pointed. We actually almost decided to go down there and look at it so I could see it in person and kind of understand the scope of what this technology will be used for. I definitely have concerns related to the Department of Justice being the source of funding. I understand Commissioner Mejia's comments related to the data privacy and the fact that it states in the agreement that the Department of Justice won't have access to this data and this footage, but we've seen them breach those contracts with other agencies, such as the Department of Licensing, multiple times. We see them breaching these agreements across the country. I do have concerns about that. However, I want to say I have full trust in our auditor and her team to operate with integrity and do everything that they can to ensure that privacy is protected. This is not criticism of the auditor's staff or her office. I do need a little bit more time to go over the vendor agreement, which the auditor's team is sending me. If we were able to remove this item from the agenda, or vote no on it, we could bring it forward in a work session next week or at the next business meeting on February 3rd. I talked with the auditor about that, and it seemed like that would be an okay approach, just to allow for due diligence, so that I can really fully understand the scope. I have a lot of constituents asking questions about this, and I want to be able to answer those questions and with the full understanding of the scope of this technology and what it's going to be used for. We were briefed on this and told that the cameras would be only circling the perimeter. However, it appears that based on the screenshots that I saw earlier today, that it would be pointing at the door to see people coming in and in the parking lot to see vehicles. And I think if I had the opportunity to look at the vendor agreement and verify that what we're being told is true, I would feel a lot more comfortable. I know that typically when I ask for more time, the majority of the board doesn't allow for that. However, I would really appreciate, this is a serious issue. We see that AI is being misused across the country and causing a lot of harm. And if we could take one more week to really fully understand the scope of it, I would appreciate that. I can't support this today, but I want to be at the point where I can support it, because I know the auditor's office will be using the technology regardless of whether the grant is approved or not. But I think that it's important for us to all have the same understanding as we move forward. This technology does pose a lot of risks, so I'm going to be voting no and asking that we add this item to an agenda as soon as possible next week or on February 3rd.
I'm not your phone here. Yeah, this item was originally up in early December, so not accurate to say that we don't accommodate extra time on things. There's a lot of time for a lot of discussions. We've had multiple executive sessions about the scope of the technology and exactly what it does. I'm very confident exactly what it does. I'm very confident that the kind of data that's being collected could not be used in any kind of way that we're all concerned about. We are all sharing concerns about certain types of data and how it could be used inappropriately, but I'm very confident that the kind of information being collected here is not that kind. And the auditor has indicated that this item needs to proceed. Time is of the essence, critical to election security, critical to election staff security. And I've heard kind of the same questions and answers now multiple times through. Our auditor has been a champion of election security at a statewide basis, and I'm going to trust her judgment, because I know she also shares our concerns about misuse of constituents' data, but that's not what this is about. So I'm pretty comfortable. While I acknowledge Commissioner Klaus's concern, and I want to keep eyes wide open in the way that you've indicated on the last item, as we move forward, I'm comfortable with this item. So I'll be supporting it. Commissioner Fournier.
Yeah, thank you. I just want to point out that if we do vote it down, you can't just put it on the next agenda. If it's voted down, it's done, it's dead, and it would have to be a different type of proposal that comes before the board. I too trust I'm not an elections expert. I'm not an election security expert, but we do know someone who is. That is Auditor Mary Hall, and she's been very adamant that this is important for her work, even so much so that she said she'd go forward and do it anyways if we turned it down. So we might as well accept the grant money and pay for it out of grant money, but because sounds like she is pretty strongly recommending this. So I support the auditor's request.
Commissioner Klaus.
Thank you, Chair. First point of order, if we do vote this down, it is not dead. That's false. We can vote no today and then put it back on an agenda in a future meeting. And if we need to verify that with the clerk, then we can, but I think that's a false statement. I just want to say, it sounds like a majority of the board will vote for this. I'm highlighting the risks, and if something happens because the AI data was misused, then that's going to be on us. Commissioner Minter, you mentioned that you're confident on what the data is for and what it does. I don't understand how anyone could sit here and say that they're confident that anything funded by the Department of Justice related to election security is something we can be confident in, based on what's happening around the country. I think that it's irresponsible. I think that if you went page by page through this agreement and you went page by page through the vendor agreement, maybe you could say you're confident at that point. But until then, I don't see how any of us could be confident without actually seeing exactly what's going to happen. We are told a lot of, we hear a lot of information, we absorb a lot of information at our meetings. But if I can't see it in writing, that this data is not gonna be used for certain purposes that are inappropriate, then I can't feel confident. And I don't understand how anyone could sit up here and say that they do feel confident in that. I just, you also mentioned, actually, I guess that doesn't matter. But Commissioner Grant mentioned to me earlier that she attended the Martin Luther King event yesterday, and a comment was made about civil liberties being destroyed. I don't remember what the quote was, but it's true. We're living in a time of lawlessness, and for us to sit here and keep pushing things forward without the full information is completely irresponsible. If I'm asking for an additional week or an additional 2 weeks to look at a vendor agreement and go out to the site and fully understand the scope of what's going on, and the board doesn't support that, I just don't understand how that's appropriate. I really don't.
To respond to your point about how I could be confident, it's because you're talking about two separate things. One is how information could be used by other layers of government. I have no confidence in that. But the other is what is being collected. And I do have confidence in that because we've seen, it's been described what will happen, what the technology is, what it's not, elements of it that could have been included were removed. So even if I had 100% confidence that it would be misused, or there's nothing to misuse. Like what would be collected in this particular agreement related to the security of our election building is not, no one's articulated to me how that could be taken and used in a way that would be harmful to constituents based on the very limited nature of what it is and what it does. And I could go further into this, but I can't because these were things discussed in executive session. So I just want to say that if I'm sounding a little less articulate about the specifics, it's because I can't go into those specifics because the specific technology was discussed to us in executive session because it relates to security. But that's why I feel the confidence. It's not about what could be done by people above us, because that could be anything. I agree with you on that. But, and if there was more to this, I might share your concern more further than I do today.
Okay. Have you seen the vendor agreement?
I've seen it. I haven't gone through it like with the way you have.
I don't believe that we've even received a copy of the vendor agreement yet. That's something that the auditor's team is working on getting to me.
Oh, the vendor agreement. You're not talking about the thing we're proving today, the interlocal agreement.
Yeah, right. So I definitely think that's something that we should look at before we move forward. I mean, it will be impacted by whatever ordinance or state legislation comes through related to AI surveillance. It will likely impact this. So moving forward without further information, I truly believe that would be irresponsible. If you want to see the vendor agreement, I'm sure the auditor's staff will send that to you as well. But I also spoke, when I was talking with Auditor Hall earlier, she told me which IT staff person worked directly with the vendor to understand the full scope. And I'm planning on talking with that person if they're available so that I can understand the full scope. These are questions that I can't answer to my constituents unless I have the information. And I have a lot of constituents that I represent that are concerned about this. So, I want to be able to answer their questions about what exactly is being collected and why. We're going to have less people voting because they don't feel confident in the process. Those are comments that have been made to me by several constituents, and I can't answer all their questions without all of the information. So I understand that right now what we're looking at is this Department of Commerce grant, but if you share the same concerns with me about layers of government acting inappropriately with personal data, how could you move forward with this without seeing the vendor agreement that lays out exactly what's going to be happening?
Have you directed your constituents to look at the work sessions that we've had with Auditor Hall?
Yes.
Okay, they're not satisfied by any of that.
Well, it erodes public trust when the details are discussed in executive session.
Well, that's just the nature of security.
But some of the details in
Technologies.
executive session, we can't fully understand without looking at the vendor agreement.
Other discussion on this motion?
No, sir.
I'm gonna call for the vote.
One more. I just want to say, like, one more week to look at the vendor agreement. I know I keep saying it, but if this board votes yes on something without looking at the vendor agreement, I'm saying on the record, we don't have all the information, and we're going to approve a grant that will be used for AI surveillance without having full information. So if that's the prerogative of the board, then so be it, but I can't support it.
Anything else? Call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Motion carries 3-2. We're now to public comment related to general matters, and Johanna is the first person signed up.
Good afternoon, Chair, Commissioners. Let me start by saying that whole last 15 minutes was so hypocritical, it's ridiculous. You have Commissioner Klaus here wanting to relook at something that I'm sure has been in front of you guys for months, because nothing happens fast here. You have something in front of you that's been there, I'm guessing, for months. She's now at the final minute asking to review more stuff. Yet she doesn't take 2 seconds to think before she posts a video. And then she doesn't take 2 more seconds to think before she removes it, violating state law for public disclosure. She posted it on her official county commissioner page. It's public record. I've done a public records request both in writing on the page, and I went upstairs and did one before the meeting today. Thank you.
Is there anyone else that didn't get a chance to give public comment? Mr. Pettit. You didn't get to sign up, I meant to say. You're up.
I didn't get a chance to sign.
Okay, your turn.
John Pettit from East Olympia. I am just a couple particular issues. One is I'm conveying one that I have followed up with further element regarding the resolutions that have been made, in which we have duplicate resolutions being made, or saying different things, different contexts, and everything else. Quite honestly, I noticed that there was an attempt to try to once again change it, which of course, it's another, well, it's a matter of messing with the public information. Public information is not something that we get to change the information. We have to modify, repeal, and replace. The idea that we have chose to do this, it actually constitutes felony offenses, and I have now handed this over to the Attorney General's office with a formal complaint, and the parties that are involved may be subject to felony offenses, which could very well include most of you. So you may be removed from office because you have chose to manipulate the system, hide and distort the truth from the people. Unacceptable. Now, the other issue, which of course I'm going to deal with a limited amount of time, is I'm going to deal with a particular part that we're going to go into. Is one of the particular items that you were covering up was capital facility plan. I have found none. I have requested and been provided none. No budgetary appropriation for the purchase of the Plum Street complex. It doesn't exist. If it did exist, you would have sent it to me. Now, the issue about that comes down to 2 things. One is there is a little particular spot online, Thurston County Upgrades, that describes where the money would end up being taken from. And it's very particular, and it has to do with the Ming analysis and requirements. You might read that. It's important because ultimately the 5 commissioners that voted for it are going to be subject to paying for it, because the law about budgetary parts says expenditure made, liabilities incurred, warrants issued in excess of detailed budget appropriations. or as revised by transfer, right, are not a liability of the county, but the official making and incurring such expenditure or issuing such warrant shall be liable personally thereupon. You have, in fact, made a $35 million expenditure. And hey, if you want to write a check for it, otherwise, that's fine. If not, then you have violated the law, and you need to realize that you will be held accountable, your bonds will be gone after, and you will disappear from office. So again, I'll reissue one last request. It's not there. Provide me the proof of the budget appropriation in the budget for the particular project as described. It's right here. You can't move money from one project to another. Oh, perhaps we already have somebody deciding that they want to resign. Thank you.
Any other public comment that someone didn't sign up on any matter? Online, anyone here to give public comment on any topic? Okay, thank you very much. Oh, Mary W., you're up. You have 3 minutes.
Yeah, hi. I just wanted to thank Commissioner Klaus and Commissioner Grant for their concerns with the AI that's been going on and having concern for our data, our security, our privacy of the individual constituents. The elections office surveillance that is being approved or happening. You know, I believe it was last week, the BOCC meeting, you had the auditor on the screen who then asked to have the video of that meeting taken down because she was giving out security information. It's ridiculous. And then to say that that's the opinion that you're going to trust to control or, you know, have knowledge on these systems, that's really sketchy. And it makes me terrified that there's elected officials that don't have the best interest of the community in mind. And I'm not sure why, from what I was just understanding, the documents that were referred to in the sheriff's office MOU, like half of them couldn't be found, but yet they kept being referenced and the board approved it anyways. Like, if you can't find all the reference documents, I'm not clear on why the board is approving it. I don't know if you can give clarification on these things, but it's really concerning. Feedback would be great. Thanks.
Thank you. I have Sarah Montano.
Thank you. I just want to say I appreciate the opportunity to comment, and just wanted to mention I'm appalled that a county commissioner left before public comment was complete. And I do appreciate Rachel Grant and Emily Klaus for voting this down without seeing the venture agreement. It seems critical that we see all documents ahead of time. By we, I mean commissioners, you know, of the county. So really deeply reviewing these documents before we sign them, I think it will. And it sounds like that hasn't happened. Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Okay, then we'll go to, we should be able to complete community reports before we adjourn and get to the public hearing on the Lake Lawrence Management District public hearing. Commissioner Mejia?
Thank you. I have several community reports, but I'm willing to forego that because I think there's just a more important acknowledgement. And so Chair, if you'll allow me. So it is with great sadness that we acknowledge the passing of Larry Edward Schaffner, a dedicated county employee who served our community with distinction as an NPDES coordinator. Larry passed away during the Christmas season, a time of year that makes this loss especially profound to his family, friends, and colleagues. Larry devoted his career to public service and environmental stewardship through his work in stormwater management and water quality protection. He played a critical role in ensuring compliance, safeguarding natural resources, and protecting public health. His contributions were meaningful, lasting, and essential to the work of this county. But Larry was not only recognized here in Thurston, he was one of the tallest trees in Washington's stormwater community, respected by his peers statewide. Beyond his professional expertise, Larry was a respected colleague and a steady presence within his team. His coworkers are grieving not only the loss of a skilled professional, but of a person who was deeply valued and appreciated. So on behalf of the board and the county, we extend our sincere condolences to Larry's family, loved ones, and coworkers. We are grateful for his years of service and honor the legacy he leaves behind. Larry Schaffner's commitment to public service will not be forgotten. And so with that, Chair, I would ask for a moment of silence.
Yeah. Please join us.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Grant.
Well, for all,
Take the time you need.
yeah, I spent the last week or so doing quite a few things. So I attended Transportation Policy Board, the Rural Action Caucus for the National Association of Counties, Law and Justice Council, STEADY, South Thurston Economic Development, Nisqually River Council, attended the BCB board orientation yesterday, or Experience Olympia and Beyond, Innovative Justice, CJTA panel meeting, and then lots of Yelm City Council and city and county, different things going on throughout the county in the last week, and I'll just leave it at that.
Commissioner Klaus.
Thank you. I had several meetings as well. I attended the AJA Arrest and Jail Alternatives Advisory Forum earlier this month. That was a really informative meeting, and I appreciate the opportunity to keep up with that organization as they do important work helping people who are impacted by the justice system. I attended the Legislative Steering Committee meeting on January 8th. Commissioner Mejia did a good job chairing that meeting. It was really good to have the opportunity to see what the State Association of Counties is working on. I did attend that meeting hoping to hear more about the excise tax bill related to animal districts, but I didn't hear that item discussed. I may have missed it. I was out of the meeting for a little bit while my EA was in the meeting, but it didn't seem like we heard about that bill during that meeting, so hopefully there's more to come on that. I met with a constituent to discuss public banking systems. I attended the Medic 8 push-in ceremony, which we saw in the county manager's update, and I think that was really cool that you had a video of the push-in ceremony on your update. Good job. It was very fun. It was really fun, and I truly didn't expect that we were going to be pushing in the medic unit, but it was very fun. I hosted my monthly virtual town hall, virtual office hours earlier this month, and I was excited to be joined by Commissioner Mincer. We had great conversations with constituents, and I appreciate the strong community engagement that continues to grow, thoughtful questions, and the opportunity to hear directly from residents. My next virtual office hours is February 13th, and I look forward to continuing these discussions with our community. I chaired my first ORCA Finance Committee meeting, and it's okay. Sorry. I chaired my first ORCA Finance Committee. It was kind of sad to have an Orca meeting without Councilmember Jim Cooper, who resigned this year. But yeah, we're carrying the torch forward on that. Following the finance meeting, we did an Orca board meeting. I also attended the Chamber Forum this month, the State of Community Address, and Commissioner Minster did a great job with his speech. He was pretty funny. I had a lot of people come and tell me they didn't know you were that funny, so good job. I also hosted 2 public safety and police accountability stakeholder meetings. We have been reviewing a lot of what's going on in the county and just what's going on around the nation in terms of not only local law enforcement, but especially federal agents and the actions that they've been taking. And constituents are concerned about what could happen here as Washington is declared a sanctuary state, and we know that immigration enforcement is ramping up, so there's a lot of concerns around that. I also had a meeting with Senator Trudeau to discuss her bill around ALPRs. It's going through the legislature now. I attended the Law and Justice Council meeting where the same topic came up about ICE enforcement and what to do in our region and how we would coordinate regionally if something big were to happen. Mayor Payne actually spoke about that at the Law and Justice Council meeting, and I really appreciated his comments and bringing us back to a topic that a lot of people are not comfortable talking about, but it needs to be discussed. So I'm really interested in trying to figure out what kind of regional coordination we would have if there were a large event happening in our community from immigration enforcement. Let's see, I also held a Police Accountability Core Working Group meeting, which was separate from the stakeholder meetings, and I met with Representative Parsley yesterday to discuss some of her bills in the legislature. That's all.
All right. For me, I attended the Fair Board meeting. We rotate that through the commissioners, and it was my turn, and had a good meeting with those folks. 3 different types of sentencing guideline commission meetings. I'm on legislative subcommittee. We have special meetings on Fridays to discuss legislative bills, and then we had a regular meeting all in the last 2 weeks. The medic one push-in ceremony. I thought we were gonna get popsicles, and I was like, no, those are push-ups.
Yeah.
But I wasn't sure what it was gonna be, but it was pretty fun. You saw a little video clip of it. Honored to be a guest at Commissioner Klaus's town hall. We had some good conversation with constituents about legislative priorities. Met with constituents about our tree ordinances and land use and quasi judicial processes. Had a meeting with members of Lacey, Tumwater, and Olympia regarding the possibility of a second public facilities district and what the law is and what legislative changes we might want to look at promoting to support such a thing in Thurston County. Attended a state auditor's office meeting with Thurston County to just go over some upcoming items that they're looking into. Kind of a routine thing, but we have to go through the process. Met with some forest experts in Thurston County to work on the proposal that led to the letter that I circulated in my board, this board supported this morning. Some work to put that together. Innovative Justice meeting with Commissioner Grant. Speech for the chamber, State of the Community. Attended a ribbon cutting at River Ridge High School. Their bond money resulted in a whole bunch of capital projects, and the library is done and it's beautiful, and that was really cool to see. And the North Thurston School District had their school board meeting there. They rotated through schools, so that was good. I think a lot of the commissioners have done the sort of a field trip with Superior Court to look at court in session and some of the dynamics that are happening with today's courtrooms in terms of space and technology and staffing and all the different pieces. So Christy Peters from the prosecutor's office spent the morning with my assistant and myself last week. Attended a celebration of cultures related to the World Cup. I went to represent Thurston County, where there were speeches from the mayor of Seattle and many Puyallup tribal members. Basically, the Puyallup tribe sponsored the event, and they were trying to highlight all the different cultures of people that will be coming for the World Cup. Egypt, there's all different, Australia, I don't remember all the countries that are coming, but they had music and art and food from those countries. It was an interesting event. South Thurston Economic Development Initiative meeting, or STEADY. Met with members of the Deschutes Estuary Restoration Team about an effort that has been going on for a number of years to try to lift up a Deschutes Watershed Council. So there's some work going on with sort of a scope of work there. Went to the Stream Team Volunteer Appreciation Event, which is always a great event over in my district at the Stone Creek Pizza. 2 Martin Luther King events, one at South Puget Sound Community College and one yesterday at the New Life Baptist Church. Honored to present a welcome from Thurston County to that group. And then there's a scholarship event that SPSCC hosts with the Thurston group for local students. And that was on Friday evening before their formal MLK event. And I was able to attend that as well. So it's been busy.
I have one last thing. Thanks, Commissioner. Sir, I just want to also mention one of the things I kind of skipped over is that I've spent quite a bit of time in the last 2 weeks out in Yelm discussing with constituents the annexation. So I've got a bunch of Yelm folks here in the room today, but went out to the McKenzie farm and met with Alan McKenzie and really have spent time doing outreach and engagement with folks in Yelm who are going to be affected by this annexation. I will mention to the public that there is a planning commission meeting happening at 4 o'clock today out in Yelm. So that's an opportunity for people who still have concerns about or questions to be answered about the annexation in Yelm. And then next Tuesday will be a vote of the city council. And so I'm just hoping to get people who may still want to have a voice heard out to those events. And that's it.
All right, very good. I think we're at the end of the business agenda, so we're adjourned. We're going to go directly into our public hearing, which is scheduled for 3:30, so it's 3:37. And we are going to begin a public hearing regarding Lake Lawrence Lake Management District number 26. The purpose of this public hearing is to consider and accept public testimony on the public interest and financial feasibility of establishing the Lake Lawrence Lake Management District number 26. This is a hybrid public hearing. Those wishing to testify have joined by Zoom, emailed in comment, or mailed in comment. If you wish to testify, please visit the Thurston County homepage online and select BOCC meetings, hearings, and work session agendas. The information to join this public hearing remotely is posted there. If you are not providing testimony but would like to follow along, please visit the Thurston County YouTube channel. Dr. Jen Freiheit, Director of Public Health and Social Services, will provide information on the topic. Assuming anyone on Zoom wishes to testify, I will read your name aloud. You do not need to sign up in any particular fashion. You will have 3 minutes to testify. Time may not be donated to other speakers. When you are called on, please state your name and address for the record. So the public hearing is now open. Dr. Freiheit will present background information, summarize any written comments submitted, and then provide any additional information requested by the board.
Great, thank you. Again, Jen Freiheit, Director of Public Health and Social Services. On May 1, 2025, the Lake Lawrence Steering Committee sent a petition to all property owners asking the question if the county should move forward with the renewal of the Lake Lawrence Lake Management District. The petition was sent to the Board of County Commissioners on July 24th, which began the public review process. The petition to create the Lake Lawrence Lake Management District LLLMD number 26 received signatures from owners of 38% of the total acreage within the existing LLLMD, and this exceeds the required signatures of owners by at least 20% for a proposed district according to the RCW 36.61.030. The district is proposed for a 35-year period beginning on January 1, 2027 and expiring December 31, 2061. The BOCC approved the resolution of intention on November 4, 2025, and directed staff to schedule a public hearing to determine the public interest and financial feasibility for today. And if the board determines the proposed LMD meets public interest and is financially feasible, it is requested for the board to proceed with directing staff to draft a resolution of findings and determinations after closing the public hearing today. And I'm here to answer any questions. All right, thank you.
All right.
Excuse Commissioner Fournier he's at the BCP meeting.
Okay, yes. So Commissioner Fournier is at the, Visitor and Convention Bureau Board meeting, something we recently assigned him to do. So that's why he's not present, and we've got this recorded and he can catch up. Frank Hudick is up first. Andrew Bentley on deck.
Thank you. My name is Frank Hudick. Our family members are residents and fee-paying constituents of the Lawrence Lake Management District, proudly one of the original LMDs established in Washington State. Most of you have toured or at least visited our beautiful lake. It is indeed a county and state recreational asset. Currently, our lake suffers from an increasing level of eutrophication, most of it attributable to the unnatural rerouting of the Deschutes River into the lake a century ago. As your staff is aware, our lake has been proactively managing the effects of eutrophication through the carefully prescribed application of approved technologies to ensure continued use of the lake by both humans and wildlife. Past efforts have largely targeted non-native weed infestations detrimental to the natural environment and recreational use. More recently, our lake has suffered from increasing incidents of cyanobacteria attacks, resulting in numerous lake closures for safety reasons. Most occur at the peak of the recreational season. Owing chiefly to Mr. Barry Halverson's tireless efforts, we are now beginning to understand the cyanobacteria malady that affects not only our lake, but many across the county, state, and nations, plural. While several solutions are being considered to control the algal cycle, some are not yet fully sanctioned or lack an extensive resume of treatment experience. The available solution set also varies widely in cost. Having said that, the proposed organization and fee structure for the LMD creation is pragmatic, with fees tailored by relative benefit to the three classes of Lawrence Lake residences: those that live on the lake, those that live on the canal, and what we call the uplanders. They don't touch the lake. Accordingly, I solicit your support to approve the LMD's creation, and we are hopeful our LMD constituents support the eventual vote as well. Both the weed control efforts and the planned treatment of the algal problem will fail if we curtail our LMD efforts. Thank you for this consideration, and thank you, Barry, for assuming the leadership role for not only Lawrence Lake, but many of the other lakes across the state. Thank you.
Thank you. Andrew Bentley with Lynette Bentley on deck.
Hi, my name is Andrew Bentley, and I'm also an owner of a cabin on Lake Lawrence. We've had it for about almost 10 years now. And I'm here in support of the Lake Management District because it's just a great group of people that do the right thing for this lake. And I don't want to see it changed at all in any way. Barry, as he says, does his tireless efforts. Without Barry, I don't know where we would be. But I just want to show my full support to this renewal of the Lake Management District. I'm here to back everybody up.
Lynette Bentley.
Hello, I'm Lynette Bentley. I'm his wife, and I'm here today in support of our Lake Management District. The people involved in the Lake Management District take care of our lake and community, and we thank them all. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Folks online who may want to give testimony, raise your hand or come off mute. Mr. Blankenship, go ahead. You have 3 minutes.
Hello, commissioners. I appreciate your time. Thank you for letting me comment. My name is Matt Blankenship. I'm representing the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife. The Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife is a member of several lake management districts, or LMDs, across Thurston County in an advisory capacity. And we value the time and commitment that community members bring to the stewardship of the lakes where they reside. Collaborative engagement and clear communication are essential to the success of these efforts. I'd like to also thank Barry Halverson, as others have, for his continued coordination and communication with us throughout the Lake Management District process. His willing to engage and keep stakeholders informed is appreciated. And at the same time, I want to ensure that some concerns are presented during this public hearing. Our primary concerns relates to how assessments for the Lake Management Districts are determined. Under several RCW chapters, special assessments are intended to reflect the special benefit received by assessed properties or provide alternatives or additional assessment methodologies. And based on the materials we have reviewed, the proposed assessments appear to rely on flat rates without sufficient supporting documentation explaining how those rates were calculated or how they reflect a proportional benefit. So this lack of transparency makes it difficult to understand whether the assessments are being applied in a clear and consistent manner It also raises questions when assessments amounts appear identical across different lakes or districts, despite different conditions and management needs that these lakes may have. In addition, we also question the necessity of establishing a lake management district with a 35-year lifespan. This duration appears to be somewhat out of the ordinary for other lake management districts that we are a part of, and it raises concerns that it may effectively circumvent the need to revisit adjustments based on changing conditions and community priorities through a more robust public renewal process. That said, we're supportive of proactive lake stewardship and the formation of lake management districts where they're appropriate. However, we strongly also believe that the funding mechanisms for these districts, particularly the assessments and the decisions surrounding their duration, it needs to be developed using well-documented methodologies that are transparent and consistent with applicable statutes. So I thank you again for the opportunity to provide comment and look forward to continuing to work with the Lake Lawrence Lake Management District. Thank you.
Thank you. Lori Villani. No. James Challoner.
There we go. Hi there, how are you?
Good.
I'm a lake owner on Lawrence Lake. I have actually 2 lots on Lake Lawrence. My family's had this property since 1965. I became a permanent resident here in June, and we've been, I grew up out here basically, and I am in very much support of the LMD. We need to have that process just to keep everything going in this lake. Since the Deschutes ran in here, this lake used to be 60 feet deep. Now its deepest point's 35 feet. We have so much nutrients in this lake and weed growing that recreation will be destroyed within 10 years if this continues. So we need the LMD to step up. Barry Halverson has done just an awesome job, and we hope that we can get our LMD in line so we can start treating this lake for the bacteria that comes. If you were homeowners out here, I guarantee you we'd be backing this LMD, and just for the simple fact is this is a recreational lake. You come out here at 4th of July, we have 100 watercraft going around the lake. It's quite a party. It's just, I'm sitting here looking out my window right now, and it's just the most beautiful lake that you could have. I would hate to see this thing overgrown by weeds and never be able to use this because of the bacteria that's created because of the nutrients. So please, please back us in this LMD. Thank you.
Thank you. Janice Letsky.
Hi, I submitted my comments via email, but I will just say that I'm a part of the steering committee. I own lakefront property. I have worked with Barry on the budget for the LLMD. We've spent a huge number of hours, and Barry spent time finding the costs to keep our lake clean and usable. And with the cyanobacteria problem, we have the study going on to give us more information about how to do that. Those budgets then were developed well into the future, and the rates that we have asked for in this renewal are based on that research. So I was a little surprised when I heard Matt talk about, it seemed like it was just flat rates. The lakefront property owners are paying significantly more than upland owners. So it is reflecting the usage, I suppose. There's been a lot of work to keeping our lake healthy, to managing the budgets, and to be good stewards. Thank you.
Thank you. Nancy Westergaard. Can't see the small letters. Did I get it?
Yes,
Okay.
hi.
Yes.
My husband Larry and I are both here, and we are lake owners. We live pretty much next door to the Bentleys, and I'm actually a real estate broker. And we are very thankful for Barry and everybody who's worked so hard on keeping the lake clean and healthy. And one of our bigger concerns is property value, because we see it going downhill if we don't make sure our lake is healthy and we can recreate on it. We just got a boat this year. We've been here 18 years, and we're, concerned that we're not going to be able to even use the boat in the future. So, but we are very much behind the LMD, and we're very thankful for everything that Barry and the steering committee has done.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's see, anyone else online who wants to give comment on the Lake Lawrence Management District? Okay, and Mr. Halverson, I saw you here at the very bottom of the sheet. So you get potentially the last comment.
Chair, Commissioners, I am Barry Halverson, co-chair of the Lake Lawrence Lake Management District. My last update to you on our LMB progress was 2 December, when you approved the resolution of intent to create Lake Lawrence Management District number 26. At that meeting, I laid out the steps the steering committee took over the past 5 years in preparation for the public hearing today, and the steps we were taking to take after the 2 December meeting to ensure everyone was informed. All those steps were completed along with additional ones. To ensure continuity, a copy of those steps outlined in that testimony were attached to the testimony I provided you by email to yourself and your aides and from Amy. Before I get into, I might not even cover the rest of this, but I'd like to address Matt's comments from WDFW. That's why I asked to be last, because I wanted to identify any potential problems. And we've been working with Department of Fish and Wildlife for years. I'm a volunteer for Washington State Department of Fish and Wildlife, have been for over 2 decades. We have reached out to WDFW. We've reached out to the director of WDFW, the assistant director of WDFW, trying to have a dialogue about this. When we set our rates for our lake, we set them with a 10% increase for WDFW property over the next 2 years. No increase this year, but a 10% increase in 2027. All the other property owners got 130% increase. Our lake, our boat launch, they spent about 5 years ago, $1.5 million improving the boat launch, putting in a handicap accessible facility. It was great. We get a lot of turbulence in that lake because of people that visit there. Dozens a week. We clean up the public boat launch every week with volunteers. We clean up the county park with volunteers every week, 52 weeks a year. Tons of trash is picked up by volunteers. Some of them are here today. Okay? These people do it because they love our lake and they want to keep it clean. I would be glad if Matt would reach out to me and talk to me, lakelawrence750@gmail.com. He hasn't. He came to this meeting because we have been proactive in getting the message out to all of our partners across the state and within our Lake Management District and our city by putting publications, letters to the editor in the Nisqually Valley News, in addition to the what Amy has put out as far as this public hearing. So we've done a lot of outreach. We've tried to be very good partners in all of this, tried to be respectful of individuals' budgets and everything else, and putting the burden on the property owners of the lake for the cleanup of the cyanobacteria management plan that we expect will cost us over $200,000 a year. That is a marginal estimate of what it's going to cost us. And the property owners are going to be paying 75 or 80% of that cost. So with that, I won't bore you with the rest of my testimony, commissioners. I just want to thank you for your interest and help in keeping our lakes clean and healthy and supporting the lake management districts across Thurston County. Thank you so much.
Anyone else for public comment? Last call. Online or in word? Okay. Is there a motion to close public hearing?
I move to close the public hearing.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries, public hearing is closed. Now, we have potential action to be taken.
I move to direct staff to proceed with a resolution of findings and determinations for the establishment of Lake Management District Number 26, Lake Lawrence, for board consideration.
Second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Commissioner Grant, I saw you first.
I know, I was like, oh, I mean, I think we're gonna say the same thing. But, you know, I just wanna mention, you know, that, I just wanna give some kudos out to this entire group of people, of how many people showed up here today. I think that, you know, of all of the things in my 1 year and I don't know, 20 days of being a commissioner, the process of the volunteerism and the amount of time and effort that the volunteers and Barry Halverson take to work on Lake Lawrence is just phenomenal. I've not seen anything like it. You know, and I just want to put kudos out there to Barry, who has taught me more than I could ever imagine about lakes and made it interesting and fun. And who has given so much of his time to not just Lake Lawrence, but to the entire lake community across Washington State. And so I just want to recognize that, and that's it.
Thank you. Well, I just echo everything Commissioner Grant said. I wanted to say thank you to Mr. Halverson and all of the residents at the lake. It's been very interesting. I had no knowledge of anything related to lake management districts when I was elected in 2023. And I've learned so much. It's been so exciting. And the best part is that it's not just words. It's not just emails. It's not just a bunch of documents and research. You actually have taken us out on the lake and showed us everything that you're talking about so that we can really understand what's going on. My favorite part of the boat tour was seeing the park that your volunteers pick up trash at every week, because it's a county park and we don't have a lot of parks staff available to do that kind of stuff. So knowing that there's volunteers that care enough about the community to do that kind of work is humbling, and I really, really appreciate it. The culture around lake management districts is actually something that I've really come to admire in this role, not just Lake Lawrence, but all of the lake management districts that I've been able to talk with and go out and tour their lakes. Has been very fun, and it seems like lake communities are very tight-knit, and I really wish that more communities were like that. So thank you for the experience of being able to get to know your residents and everything that's happening on the lake. I appreciate it.
Commissioner Mejia.
Yeah, thank you all for being here. You know, there was a time where Barry was here almost every Tuesday at a board meeting. And so to be in this place now where we're renewing, and just the overall relationship between the county and the lake management districts is in a completely different place. I think it's definitely been great to see, appreciate the partnership and all the work that you all do to continue to, you know, fight for the health of Lake Lawrence. So, you know, we look forward to continuing that partnership and continuing working together for the health of Lake Lawrence. So thank you for being here today.
Okay, if there's nothing else, call for the vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. We're adjourned.